Well, okay, so I made some cookies the other night, and I did so bad. I was
Okay.
I just had this inkling like, "Oh, I wanna make chocolate chip cookies." So I just started making chocolate chip cookies randomly. And I was, like, missing all sorts of ingredients. Like, I didn't have baking soda,
Okay, you
for
didn't check
example.
your you didn't, like, check first to see if you had the right
No,
ingredients?
no,
Okay.
no. I was like, "I probably do." And then, so I looked it up. I was like, "How do you replace baking soda?" I didn't want to go to the store. And
Oh
well,
my
my
god.
first thought was, "Oh, I do have baking soda. I've just been using it to air out these like moldy toys from my mom's basement. So
What the
maybe I
fuck?
can just use that." And my partner was just like, "No, you cannot." And she started like heaving. She was like, "Ugh, I cannot believe I can't even." Like she's like like her stomach could not handle the idea of me using baking soda that had been used to purge the mildew from old toys uh
That's
in baking.
absolutely disgusting. What?
Well, I was like, okay, the heat's gonna kill any of the mildew that got into the baking soda, right? The baking
What?
soda's just there to make the cookies rise.
You, y
So then
that's
the heat will kill the mildew. If there's any
okay.
mildew in there even.
I'm pretty sure listen, I'm pretty sure that the heat has to be astronomically high
To
to
kill mildew?
to kill anything, to kill, like, bacteria and stuff like that.
That is not true because that's why, like, you can cook the salmonella off of eggs or bacon or whatever, or chicken, I
Okay.
don't know. But
Yeah, still don't do that. Okay, continue. What did you end up doing? I'm horrified, but please
because
continue.
there are plenty of things that you cook that have not deadly, but, like, bacteria that'll make you sick on them until you cook them. Okay, anyway,
Okay.
so continuing. So I didn't have baking soda, so I was like, "Oh, I'll use more baking powder," but I don't wanna use so much baking powder that you taste the baking powder, so what else can you do? So then I looked it up and it was like, "Oh, you could just, whip the eggs into stiff peaks." Just the
Okay,
egg
so like
whites.
meringue.
Yeah, exactly. So I did that, but then I didn't wanna have, like, meringue cookies, so instead of, like, folding the dry ingredients into that, I just blended them in, and I think that completely negated doing all the work on the egg whites.
So let me understand this real
Uh-huh.
quick. You looked up a different solution because you didn't have well, you had baking powder, but that's a no-go. Uh, so you looked up a different solution
Yeah.
and you didn't follow the directions
Yeah.
after finding that solution?
Yeah, I used some, and I just wanna say I used some baking powder, but I didn't use it's supposed to they're like, "Use triple the amount."
Okay.
If you don't have baking soda. And I was like, no, because then you'll taste the baking powder and it'll be yucky. And then the other thing was like, oh, whip the eggs. And I was like, okay, I can do that. But then when it's like folded in gently, it's like, I don't feel like it. And
What? What if you
so I
don't
just,
feel like it?
again, I didn't want them to be meringue cookies. I wanted them to just be chocolate chip cookies. So anyway, so I beat the egg whites back in, and that probably took all the air out of them, and then ruined the whole thing. And then also for literally no reason, I still can't understand why I did this because I it used a cup of butter the recipe. But still, for some reason, I just grabbed the vegetable oil and just went like
Um,
blunk and did a whole blunk into the batter.
this is a
Or
disaster.
into the dough. I don't know why I did that. I was like like, I don't know. I was like, "Oh, maybe this will make them moister." I don't know. I don't know what I was thinking.
I don't think you were thinking. I
So
think
the
you had an idea and you got, like, too excited and was like,
Mhm.
"You know what? You can't fuck up cookies," and then you just
I
went with it.
so, I have some really hard, really weirdly colored cookies
Why are they weirdly colored?
because they didn't cook evenly, and they're very pale, but the bottoms are burnt
Ew. What? I want
because they were just They were just, I don't know, they were too weird. And some of them are like chunky and others are flat. Like it's just, it didn't go well. But as much as they like hurt my mouth, they taste yummy.
You ate them?
I've been eating them nonstop. I've
Wait, do you have
eaten like
pictures?
I've eaten like 30 of these cookies and it's been 2 days.
Do you have pictures? I want if you have pictures of this abomination of nature, I would love to see it.
The pictures I have left, you're just going to look at it and be like, "Oh, that just looks like kind of subpar cookies." It's not like they don't look so bad that
Okay,
you're going to be like,
good.
"What the fuck?" But like
I can't believe
and if you had them, you'd be like, "I could eat these." But you'd still be like, "These are but Matt, don't make cookies this way again."
I don't Matt.
I like to improvise.
You went through all the trouble to like whip up peaked like meringue, but you didn't want to like order baking baking powder or baking soda.
Oh, order. Oh, you're saying I could have like go puffed it.
You could have done that.
Oh yeah, I should have just done that.
Oh my god. Well, lessons learned.
I didn't want to go all the way out to the store.
So you'd rather okay. We're gonna.
If I was gonna go out to the store, I would have just bought cookies. So like I've made a ton. I make macarons every single year.
I love macarons. Oh my god! I'm so hungry.
I make them just about every year, and you know, here's the fucking thing. Okay, I know we're supposed to be talking about adventure games by this point, but here's the fucking thing. So the first time I made macarons, and I just was being myself in the kitchen, right, and just fucking shit up. I made nearly perfect macarons. They were amazing.
What flavor?
Well, I did a couple. Let me think of the first ones I did. I did a chocolate with peanut butter, and then I dipped half of them in like a chocolate ganache.
Oh man!
So like peanut butter, buttercream, and a chocolate macaron. I'm trying to just think of some of the macarons I've done over the years because I can't remember all of them. Oh, I did one that was like they were pumpkin macarons, and
pumpkin.
Inside I did like a hard caramel like as a circle on like just on the edges, and then I filled the middle of the sandwich with like an apple jam.
Oh shit. That's like very autumn. It's very like fall.
Yeah. I love to do seasonal macarons.
Yeah.
And so even the chocolate.
Well, wait. What's a No, that would be Christmassy. All right, what's a
I've done Christmassy ones. I've done like
Wait, what's a spring one?
Macarons.
What's a spring one?
I have never done them in the spring or the summer. I only do them in the fall and the winter. But maybe winter, spring,
like you never hear anybody talking about like spring flavors. Like what's a spring flavor?
So we have a long time until spring comes along, but maybe next spring I'll try to make some spring macarons. I don't know, what would you even do? Like
I don't know. I have no idea.
Berries are summer, watermelon summer.
Okay, wait, I have an idea, Matt. Oh my god, I'm the smartest person in the room.
Parsnip macaron.
No. I was thinking like what are the crops, the spring crops
in Stardew,
Stardew, yeah. And then we make macarons based on those crops.
I would love to, because I've made ice cream like this, and I've had even better ice cream than the ice cream I've made of this. Corn is actually a very good flavor for sweets.
I agree with you, for sure.
So corn ice cream is incredible.
Yeah.
So you have now suddenly inspired me. What about a corn macaron?
I kind of like that
like
idea,
I bet you could, like as gross as this is going to sound to some people, I bet you could do a corn buttercream that would fucking rule. And then you just do some sort of like sweet and salty kind of shell.
Oh shit.
And it would rule.
I bet it would. I have no doubt about that. Anyway, we haven't been playing anything. We've just been
we've been baking. No, okay, let me tell you. Let me tell you the spring crops in Stardew.
Yeah, what is it?
Blue jazz flowers, not good for macarons.
No.
Cauliflower.
Ew,
No.
no.
Garlic. Kale.
No, never no. I have a big problem with kale. Just ask anybody who's ever met me. I hate kale. I think we should delete it.
Okay, parsnips, potatoes, rhubarb.
There you go, rhubarb.
Ew, rhubarb is so yucky.
I mean, strawberry rhubarb.
Unmilled rice. A rice macaron.
But specifically unmilled, right?
Yeah, tulips. Oh, a flower. Actually, okay. Tulips is making me think. A
Like
flower kind of, yeah, like lavender macaron or even rose macaron.
Yeah,
that might
rose
be
water.
good.
I think.
Okay, carrot.
That's not a bad. Carrot's not a bad idea.
Carrot's not bad. I don't think it'd be good, but it's not bad.
Yeah.
Green bean and strawberry. So strawberry, definitely.
Strawberries. But wait, let's go back to green bean a second.
Okay, so anyway, those are, yeah, okay. We're gonna have to do some seasonal macaron talk every time, every change of the season. This will be a new feature on our adventure game podcast.
Yes, but listen though, I think we should do them inspired by Stardew Valley crops. I want to make Stardew Valley macarons.
Every change of the season, me and you will invent a couple different macaron flavors.
Oh my god. We're gonna be so famous for our macarons. Next year we'll open up a little pop-up or something and be like,
yeah,
hey,
the Save Your Game
parsnip,
podcast.
Get your parsnip macarons.
Okay. So, I know what mostly me and you have been spending all our fucking time playing, but have you been playing anything besides the game we're talking about today?
Sort of.
Okay.
Sort of, because excuse me, I actually streamed I have coffee caught in my throat. How does this happen? Why does this happen? I know, I'll drink more.
Oh, that'll help.
Yeah, that'll help. Hang on, I'm gonna drink more. Okay. This is all being left in. This is me. Okay, this is just me.
You want to know Rose's? This is how Rose's is.
I mean, do you agree? This is just kind of who I am.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I've been streaming the game that we're going to talk about, and after that stream, after I finished that game, I actually the other day I got raided by like 3 other producers, and I'm like, well, now I can't end the stream. I was like done with the game. I'm like, well, I can't end because I got all these new people.
Okay.
So I actually started playing Tangle Tower again.
Again? Okay.
For the stream, and I'm just really curious about how that's. I'm always curious about how a game streams. Like, if my commentary is good for it, if there's too much talking, if there's not enough talking, if the puzzles are sound, for streaming. And so far, people really like it. And I think it's because it is fully voiced. People kind of just like lay back and listen to the game. You don't even have to really watch it if you don't want. I recommend you watch it because, as we said last time, the animations in Tangle Tower are very stunning. But I think people just like to listen to a good story. Yeah. But at the same time, I also want to be like active. Sometimes I find it difficult to find a game that is good for streaming because a few months ago, I think back in June, I streamed, Nightmare Frames. And that was after I had played it by myself. I really liked it. I'm like, this is going to be a great game to stream. And it was so dialogue heavy. I felt that I was not even really playing a game. I felt like I was reading a novel. However, I will say this. The game we're going to talk about is a pretty good stream game for a lot of different reasons.
Oh, yeah, I bet.
Yeah. So I had played, in terms of, again, what I was playing, I started to stream Tangle Tower. If you guys are interested, you could check, go to my stream. And I finished the game on stream that we're going to talk about. But I also played that off stream because and we'll get into it because there are different ways to play this game.
So many different ways.
Yeah,
And you can change strategies mid play too.
you can.
So speaking of Tangle Tower, we actually got an email that I want to read because it's actually super interesting. We kept talking about the chronology of the Detective Grimoire games as being Detective Grimoire, and then Tangle Tower,
Yeah,
and then, the upcoming Mermaid Mask.
yeah.
But we got a email from Philip Q, who says, having previously played all the Detective Grimoire games a long time ago while listening to your latest podcast, some memories started to resurface, and it took me a while to figure out what's wrong. While talking about the first game, you kept referring to that game's setting as a bog, while my mind was telling me that the first game's setting was an amusement park. But I also remember exploring a bog. Did the first game take place in a swamp-themed amusement park? Or an amusement park-themed swamp? Which it kind of does. It is a state park
Yeah.
swamp that everybody keeps keeps commenting on how bad of an idea it is
Yeah.
to try and build some sort of amusement park in a swamp. But
Yeah.
anyway, he says, but then it hit me. You kept referring to Detective Grimoire, Secret of the Swamp, and Tangle Tower as the first and second game, while they are actually the second and third game. The first game, simply titled Detective Grimoire, and now I'm going to interject here, because on Steam, what Philip is referring to as Detective Grimoire, Secret of the Swamp is just called Detective Grimoire.
Right.
Right?
Right.
But it is not the first game that was called Detective Grimoire. As Philip lets us know, in the first game was released on Newgrounds in Flash, and the SFB in SFB Games stands for Super Flash Brothers, which apparently was their...
Oh, I didn't
Yeah.
know that.
And one
Okay,
of
so here's the
them...
thing. I
Yeah.
did know about this first Flash game. I did know about that.
Okay.
I did see it on YouTube, but I'm almost kind of looking at it. I understand it is a Grimoire game. I almost look at
Yeah.
it as a prototype for what's to come, and I think that's why I was referring to, Detective Grimoire, the Swamp is 1 and then Tangle Tower is 2.
Yeah.
But I did know about it. However, I didn't know that their name meant Super Flash. But that is so interesting.
He goes on to say that he remembers it being pretty fun. Matt should be able to find it in his Flash Arcade app. And I did. I found it in Flashpoint, and I played a little bit of it, and yeah, it is very rough. It is very Newgrounds-like.
Yeah.
It is, circa 2005 deviant art style art.
Yeah.
But it has a lot of the core mechanics of Detective Grimoire. You can clearly see an evolution that starts as far back as this game, which does take place in, I don't think it's an amusement park. I think it's like a fair.
Okay.
Yeah, you're just solving a murder. And also where the little girl that shows up in Detective Grimoire, Secret of the Swamp,
Uh-huh.
like there's a little girl that shows up for seemingly no reason. It is
Yeah.
a reference to that first game.
Okay. That makes more sense because she does kind of come up out of nowhere. She's just and she doesn't come back
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
Tangle Tower. And they kind of allude. Remember how last episode I was kind of like, I just don't understand how Tangle Tower is the next game. I don't understand how it's a sequel. It's because of things like that. It's because I felt like some things were unresolved or unanswered.
Yeah, I mean, the little girl seems consistently part of the arc where Detective Grimoire is missing his hat, and he finds it at the end of the swamp one.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Maybe that's why she doesn't appear again. I have no idea. I don't know, but
I don't know.
I can see even more why you felt those were disconnected. But anyway, I thought that was interesting, and I thought we should read that email because I found it cool.
Well, thank you very much, Philip Q, for your input.
I have played one thing that I did want to
You
talk
have?
about. Yeah.
I'm impressed. What have you played?
I played just today. I finally got around to it.
Oh, wow.
The demo for Rise of the Golden Idol.
Oh, cool.
And holy shit, Roses, it rules. It rules. It is an improvement in every way on Case of the Golden Idol. I'll say this, it was a little simple. It was just the demo, and it's the
Yeah.
first chapter.
Yeah.
It was a little bit simpler to solve than Case of the Golden Idol, but I will also remind myself and anyone else who plays the demo that the first chapter of Case of the Golden Idol was also pretty simple, right? Like,
Yeah.
it ramps up in difficulty
Yeah.
pretty supremely.
I
So
don't, like, obviously demo is a good way to get to know a game, to see if you will like the characters, the setting, but I try not to judge difficulty level on a demo,
right, because
because,
you're trying to reel people in.
yeah.
Um, so that was one part, one thing that I noticed about it. The other thing is it has this multi-layered structure now. Not only, okay, you can leave windows open now and move
Mhm.
them around. So like you can leave the identifying characters window open and then go back and
Oh,
start reviewing evidence with it just like floating there,
cool.
so that you don't have to keep going back and forth. You can like be, looking at the piece of evidence that gives you somebody's name
Mhm.
while you're filling in the name, which is very, very like a huge quality of life upgrade. And there's this other layer to it now where you are putting together each individual murder, like the what exactly happened in the scene,
Yeah.
and then you are pulling out to like the chapter, and then you are using things that you found in each scene to put together the story of the whole chapter.
Oh, that's cool.
So kind of like the last chapter of Case of the Golden Idol was you having to go back over all the previous chapters and find little bits of evidence to put together the entire story. You're
Yeah.
doing that the whole way through this time. And I just found that so cool. I found
Oh,
that
that's
very,
awesome.
very cool.
I see
Um,
the graphic style changed very slightly. Am I wrong, or is it more smooth and fluid now?
yeah, there's more of a 3D element to it. It's clearly
Yeah.
got that same sort of rough and ready
Yeah.
style, but it's a little smoother.
It looks more painterly, if that makes any
De-
sense.
Definitely, it's a little smoother. It's a little more painterly, rather than pixely, and it is. Uh, and there's like a 3D aspect to it. It seems
Yeah.
like it was painted in 2D and then modeled on 3D so that people could turn their heads or things like that.
Yeah.
Um, anyway, I am really excited for it. The demo looks so good.
I am too. I'm going to play the demo. I'm
Yeah,
excited now.
yeah. Let me know when you think when you play it.
Yeah, I will, for sure. I'm shocked you had a chance to play anything at all,
We've been
considering how
spending
much time. Yeah.
so much time on this other game.
Yeah.
I did not expect it. I thought we'd just play this game and move on. But how many times have you beat the game we're about to talk about?
3.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, 3 times.
3 times, and I died once. So
I did not die. I was pretty happy with that. Well, I mean, I'll explain. I'll explain.
okay,
I
all right.
didn't die on accident.
We just gotta fucking get to it. So
Yeah, let's get to
let's
it.
let's play all of Grim Fandango, and then we'll be right back.
Yes! It's my favorite. I'll see you guys in 8 hours.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Save Your Game. I'm Matt Ocamp. Your host. With me is Pushing Up Roses. How's you doing, Roses?
Hi! Yeah, I just got done playing Grim Fandango. It was great.
How'd you do?
I beat it. I won.
Okay.
As you would say, you win at adventure games.
Yeah, you won.
I won.
Did you ever try speedrunning Grim Fandango? Feels like
Not
something you would do.
Not Grim, not Grim, but I have tried speed running other adventure games. I've tried speed
Okay.
running Dagger. I've tried to do a pretty good speed run on King's Quest 6, which is actually possible. You can do a speed run on some of these games because there are
Yeah.
different ways of playing them and beating them, especially King's Quest 6. You can kind of you can end the game early. Don't, because it's so depressing if you end the game early, but
Oh,
you can
really?
for speed
Oh,
run. Yeah.
our colleague at Adventure Game Hotspot, One Short Eye,
Hmm.
does a whole series on adventure game speedruns on
Yeah.
YouTube, and those
His
they're pretty
videos are
fascinating.
great. Like, if you miss my adventure game videos, fret not, because there are other people that now do amazing adventure game coverage. And One Short Eye does some amazing adventure game coverage, like beyond even speed run games. He did a
Yeah.
great video on the Colonel's Bequest, and one of my favorites, and one of not Matt's favorites, Sanitarium.
I don't hate Sanitarium, but yeah, there's some really
You hate
shitty
it.
parts of that game. Yo, I hate to keep bringing us so fucking far from what we're supposed to be talking about today, but I saw
Gosh.
on Awesome Games Done Quick.
Yeah.
Uh, I I don't know if you know of that.
Oh yeah,
Um,
of course I do.
um, so this year they somebody did a speed run of Animal Well
Oh wow.
that was so mind blowing. Like, for a game that is already full of shit where you learn to do something and you're like, I had no idea I could even do this, or
Yeah.
you see somebody else do it and you're like, I had no idea. Like, this speed run is that times like a billion. It's wild, and I suggest everybody, like, he beats the game, and I don't know, one of them was, I think, like, uh, uh, these are gonna be off, but
Okay.
something like the first one somewhere around like 11 to 15 minutes, and the second one I think
Wow.
is like 4 minutes. Like,
Oh my god.
it's wild.
I love speedruns. I think they're fascinating. I love watching the Mario 64 speedrunners. I think
Mhm.
that stuff is so fascinating. And yeah, there are people who try to beat the records for like Dagger of Amon-Ra, King's Quest 6, King's Quest 5 even. Maybe I'll look into that. Maybe I will try to break a record. Not Animal Well. I There's no way, but I could maybe do a more traditional point and click.
Right,
Speed run Salmon Max.
a lot of point and clicks, it's hard because they are so tied to they're so linear. They're so tied to
Yeah.
their story.
Yes.
So, you know, all you're not going to be finding new paths. You're not going to be coming up with you're not going to be looking for glitches. More like you're going to be just clicking really fast and clicking
Yeah.
through all the dialogue, and like that's not very fun
Yeah, I
as far as
know.
speedrunning. But for example, the game we're talking about today, Dreams in the Witch House.
Dreams in the Witch House.
I don't think you could speedrun this game. At
You
least
don't?
no.
Okay.
Because you have to survive
Oh,
and
that's true. Yeah.
uncover a whole mystery.
Oh, but do you? Do you have to uncover the mystery?
You actually don't. You're right. So, okay, this is by the developer Adam Brain Games. It is a point and click. Oh man, what would you call it? It's like a life sim survival
It's
horror
yeah,
point and
it's a
click adventure RPG.
RPG. Yeah, you know what? It's almost very, very much like Quest for Glory, where you are doing like I think about Quest for Glory 5, where I need to keep my stupid character fed or he'll starve.
Right.
He has to go to sleep, like or and rest, like very similar mechanics. I picked that up right away, even like looking at the stats. So yeah, it's a hybrid. It's a adventure RPG with some survival elements, and I
Mhm.
would say very close to the mechanic of Quest for Glory. So yeah, you got to feed your character. He has a sanity meter because this is based on the H.P. Lovecraft story, The Dreams in the Witch House.
Mhm.
So you have I mean, I think in almost every Lovecraft game, you have a sanity meter. That's kind of canon at this point
Right, right.
for that. But yeah, you have you have your sanity meter. You have like 2 different sets of stats, right? You have your survival stats,
Mhm.
which are like, are you hungry? Are you tired? Are you cold?
Are you
That's one of
cold?
them.
Are you
Yeah.
sick? Are
Are
you
you
injured?
are you drenched? Like
And there's
because
a
you
lot
were
of people in this
outside.
game that'll beat you up. So, like,
That's
injured
true.
actually happens pretty frequently.
Yeah, you definitely will probably get injured to some degree in this
Yeah.
gameplay. So that's your survival stats. And then you have your like more RPG stats, which are like that's your sanity meter, that's how good you are at math.
And
How your
your
health
health,
meter. Yeah.
which is based on how sick you are, how well fed you are, how
Yeah.
tired you are. Like it's like a how hungry you are. It's a combination of these things.
Yeah. And then you've got your adventure game inventory where you collect items, clues, evidence. It sounds overwhelming. It's actually not. I found this to be pretty easy to understand, like how everything connects mechanic wise.
Roses,
Yes.
you mentioned inventory,
Yeah,
and
inventory.
so I think it is time
Oh boy.
once again for us to return to how much do my pants weigh?
Woo! I'm going to play some music right here.
Oh, I can't wait to hear what the "How Much Do My Pants Weigh" theme song is. How much do my pants weigh? It is a game show, I guess, within our podcast in which I tally up all the adventure game items that a character has on their person at any time in the game, and then I try and get Roses to guess how much at any given point that
Okay.
person's pants weigh.
Okay.
Because adventure game characters certainly carry way too many things in their pants. So think about. So why don't we start with what do you think some of the heaviest stuff that? Okay, the main character in this
Yeah.
game is Walter Gilman. Why don't you start with what is some of the heaviest stuff Walter Gilman carries in his pants throughout this game?
I will definitely right away.
Uh-huh.
Firewood. Firewood has to be pretty heavy, I would think. I don't
Yeah.
know. They don't make it look heavy in the game, but I would think it does. We also carry like cans of tomato soup,
That's true.
like
For almost the whole
literal
game, and
cans.
usually about 3 of them.
Yeah, 3 of them. I do. I carry
Mhm.
3 at a time. A plank of wood. I'm not really sure on the specs of that plank. I think the firewood's probably going to be more,
Yeah.
way more than a plank of wood. Books, like a ton. I always have a ton of books in my inventory. God damn, he carries a lot of heavy stuff.
Yeah. You carry a hammer for basically
That's
the
right.
entire game.
Yeah, that's right.
He's carrying so many books. He's carrying so many books.
So many books.
Usually two books from the library. Sometimes a book he finds in a cave, and around and always 2 math books.
Always 2 math books. Yep, always.
So that is a combined. If he has all those books, which again, most of the game he does, that's 5 books. That's 10 pounds because they are textbooks. So I have here what I think he would be carrying.
Okay.
In the latter half of the game,
Okay.
when you have most of your inventory items and you are financially secure enough to have most of the stuff you generally need.
Okay.
What do you think Walter Gilman's pants as he's walking all around the city of Arkham, which I think is supposed to be based on Boston?
That is potentially, yeah, that's potentially true. Let me think. Yeah, it is in Massachusetts for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to take into account, yeah, I'm going to take into account the heavier items.
Mm-hmm.
But also keep in account that I'm also carrying lightweight items like earplugs and letters.
2 razor blades, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm going to say like end game, ladder game. Oh god. 53 pounds. I might be lowballing it. I'm not sure.
You're actually over.
Okay. So I am on the right track. That's
Mhm.
good.
So I had him at the end of the game, carrying. Okay, hold on, wait. Let me adjust for how many pieces of paper he's holding. He has 39.74 pounds.
Oh, I mean,
So
my guess was not that bad.
not that bad. So just under 40 pounds.
Who does that?
I know. So let's see if you had. And then, okay, if you have just killed a rat,
I was gonna say, did you include the rat though?
you are now. I did the weight of a possum because this is a huge fucking rat.
Good call. Yeah.
So you are now at 53 pounds.
Oh my god!
And
I
if you have the
basically
cold
got
medicine, most of the time I didn't have the cold medicine. If you have the
Yeah.
cold medicine, we are now at 55, like 54.59 pounds. If you're carrying the second key that you get sometime, yeah, it's still about 54.59 pounds. That's nothing.
I wish in this game, because there's a store, a general
Yeah.
store, I wish we could sell some of that stuff back.
I know!
Because,
There's so much stuff we didn't need anymore, and I needed money so badly.
I know. It's like that. It's like the idea of a one-use kitchen item. Why would you need that? You know what I mean? Like,
speaking of, how about the tin of glue?
I never bought it, and I never bought it, and I
Okay.
don't know what it's for.
Well,
No
if you look at the tin of glue, you can learn how to make your own super glue, and then you don't need the tar. So do you want to guess what your pants? It's not that different, but do you want to guess what your pants weighed by the end of the game?
I'm guessing it's going to be lighter, so I'm guessing my pants 27 pounds.
33 pounds, because you're still
Okay.
carrying almost all the very heavy stuff.
Stupid books. God
But
damn
yeah,
it.
and I don't think this is possible, but if you had everything in the game in your inventory at once, it's 70 pounds.
Damn, Walter.
Yeah, so Walter's carrying around some heavy pants.
What
That
in the world?
was What Do My Pants Weigh for Dreams in the Witch House.
Great segment.
Man,
Wonderful
yeah,
segment.
if going through the inventory is boring, feel free to just cut that out, and then people can just hear like a quick snap to the end.
Yeah, that's fine.
But then leave this in so they know why they heard it all weird. How do we want to approach this game?
I know this game is tough. So we've kind of hit on what kind of game it is. I just want to. It's not. I'm going to say this. It is not the most story heavy game that there is. It is very engrossing. I like uncovering things, but I would say just compared to maybe Nightmare Frames or an English Haunting, games that had kind of heavy narrative, this one was a little bit lighter, but keep in mind it also has different mechanics. There's a lot of things going on that you have to keep track of. So in this game, you're playing, as we said, Walter Gilman. He looks like he's 40, but apparently he's a college student. I was like, why does he look 40?
Yeah.
So you're playing a college student, and this is pretty close to the story, The Dreams in the Witch House.
Yes.
You're a student that goes to Massachusetts to Miskatonic University, and you have a slight interest in the occult. You have started a theory paper on the occult.
Your theory is that ancient occult ideas seem to and like non-Euclidean all the words that fucking HP Lovecraft likes to use all the time, like non-Euclidean and cyclopean and like things like that. You feel like there's a connection between non-Euclidean mathematics and occult folk traditions from the past. He believes that, like old people who believed in magic may have uncovered things about modern math.
Right.
That we even now are still trying to understand.
Yeah. It's interesting. And again, very close to the. Is it a short story or is it a novella? I want to say it's.
It is a short story. It was originally published in a magazine called Weird Tales.
Yes, and I'm familiar with that. Yeah, so that's all very familiar. But also, as you're going to this college, you're at a boarding house with a few other tenants and a,
Mhm.
a lady landlord. She's old and kind of grumpy. And you get the attic room. How lovely. Don't you just love being a broke student? You get
Yeah.
this attic room. It is curiously angled, like the walls are at a curious kind of slant, which is normal for an attic to be honest.
But
And there's
everybody thinks it's weird that
everybody thinks it's
the
weird, yeah.
the room is shaped that way.
Right.
Even in the short story, they talk about it a lot, and you're looking at it in the game, and you're like, nah, attic
It's an
rooms
attic.
generally have
Yeah.
a slanted wall.
Yeah.
I don't think it's that strange, but yeah.
And there's something absolutely wrong with this room, and you will pick that up by the ominous music that always freaked me out in the game. But yeah, there's something kind of weird, something off about this room. You figure it out right away when you find a rat hole in your wall. And it also smells kind of weird as
Yeah.
well. So maybe there's a dead rat, maybe there's a live rat. We don't really know yet, but
And
there's something a little off.
anytime you try to sleep in the room, you hear noises.
Yeah, footsteps, noises.
Mhm. And this will ramp up throughout the game, but that's basically how your suspicions start.
Yeah.
And from there, it's sort of like it's like a life sim combined. It's like if you've ever played the game Citizen Sleeper, you are trying to keep yourself fed. You're trying to make enough money to um to survive, while also trying to fend off sickness and just the normal things that a person normally encounters. And that is the
Yeah.
most addictive part of this game, is
Yeah.
just trying to like keep your character alive while at the same time, again, like Citizen Sleeper, but also like uh Quest for Glory, you're also trying to build up your skills because
Yeah.
they have effects on things that unravel in the game. So you always have an exam score, which you are in college. So you have an
Yep.
exam coming up pretty much all of the time. Um, and you have an occult score because you are trying to understand these weird things around you. And at the same time, you're trying to write this paper. So you need to be really educated about both the occult and about math.
Yeah.
And you also have a
And you got to
math
keep your
score.
health up.
Yeah. So so those are these three things that you're trying to, while you are trying to keep your health and your hunger and your sleep all and your sanity all in check, you are trying to just constantly build these three skills:
Right.
math
If you
and
want.
if you want
Yeah.
math and the occult and math and the occult and exams. And then you find out at some point you can also learn chemistry. It's not in your list of stats,
Right,
but
it's not. You just read a book and then
you
you
read a book.
acquire that knowledge. Yeah.
If you manage to read the book 5 times, you just can do chemistry from now
Yeah,
on.
which I did. I did in my
Yep.
playthrough because I found,
Same.
you know, that's an easy thing to do. And this is also a game that is similarly timed like Quest for Glory. That's why you have the option to rest. Let's say you want to pass time, you can rest and that will pass time.
Mhm.
If you study a book, that will pass time. If you even if you do like things like listen to the wall for footsteps, that will pass time.
That's an entire hour.
Yeah, and
Building a
also
fire in your room takes an hour.
yeah, yep,
Studying takes 5 hours. Having coffee with a friend takes 3 hours. Yeah.
yeah, and I think it is also time is also going as you're walking around. It is a real time mechanic, except that days are much shorter than say Stardew or Quest for Glory. I can make the day go by pretty fast.
Yeah, just
In this
read a
game.
book 3 times and
Yep, it's
it's
done.
bedtime
You're done.
again. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, I did. You know what? I did not. We decided to play this game. I did not know that it was going to be this mechanic.
Me neither.
I went into it pretty blind,
Yeah.
and I saw the screen caps, and I thought it was just point and click adventure. That's
Yeah,
what it
same.
looked like to me. Yep.
I thought we were just going to be playing basically another Hobbs Barrow.
Yeah. No.
Not at
It's
all.
so much
And
different.
the thing that struck me the most, Roses, when I started playing this game is like here is a dude who looks like he's in his middle ages. And he is he's in college, so he's trying to spend time studying, but he's always completely broke. So
Yeah.
he's like struggling to survive while eking out any time he has to study for his exams, and pursuing this other like esoteric hobby that requires him to spend a ton of time studying and writing about weird folklore. I was
Yeah.
like, this is a Matt Allcamp simulator. This is just the stressful parts of this game is just what it's like to live my life.
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much.
Like my specific life.
Actually, it's interesting. I thought you were going to say this is a Matt Allcamp game, because I'm like, interestingly, this has a bit of everything for both of our likes, I think.
I think this is totally this is one of these cases of, and granted, there are a lot of games both of us like, but this is a game that hits, I think, like every box for both. Like, this is, you could not call this a Matt game or a Rose's game. This is a both of us game entirely.
Oh yeah, definitely. Definitely. And when I start games like this, like similarly to Stardew, I always get so overwhelmed. I'm like, I won't like this game. No, this is too much work. But then I end up loving it because of the mechanic, because I'm determined. And that determination kind of comes from this is one of the most randomized games I've played.
Oh my god, yeah.
Part of the difficulty level is you can look up a guide per se, but you're not going to really find a good walkthrough on it, because events are not events, but things are maybe events. Things are random. Yeah, events are random. Your dreams can be random. Even where inventory items are.
Yes.
Even like there's a part in the game where certain rooms are not in the same place as my game, kind of like Clock Tower. So I was like, how are we gonna play this game? And there are many endings. There are like, I think we know of 6. There might be more, but I think there are 6 endings officially.
There's a lot of like I got at least 4 endings, and
I got 3.
A lot of like there are a lot of like, wait, I guess I got 5. We'll go over them, but there's a lot of like minor differences, like spins on an ending. Like, you know, if there's 3 endings, there's also ending 1A and 1B and 1C, and then ending 2A and 2B, and then ending 3A. But like,
So dude, I'm trying to figure out how we approach this. Do you want to hear my experience with this game?
I do. I want to say, like, when we're talking about the randomization, like, just to give some examples, early on, you get a package from your aunt who is proud of you for going to school, and she sends you just like some stuff to help you out. That stuff is randomized, and it's the stuff that you either can find in the world or have to buy from the store. Well, it's all stuff that you can buy from the store, but some of it you can also find out in the world. And so it just gives you a little leg up. But it can be like, sometimes I played and it was just a pair of long underwear, and other times it was like a pair of earbuds, a thing of cold medicine, and 2 days worth of food or whatever. Which ruled, right? Like, sometimes it ruled, and sometimes it was like, oh, okay, this just saved me $4, and other times like, oh, this saved me like $9. And also another thing, like, you have to study for your exam cycles. I don't know exactly what day cycle they're on, but it's something like 15 days. And the subjects you have to study are completely random.
Right.
So you can't like prepare ahead of time, and you can't, if you're following a walkthrough, the walkthrough couldn't tell you what you were studying that week, for example. Okay, so I want to hear about your specific.
Here's what happened, guys. Okay, so in this game, it's called Dreams in the Witch House because a witch used to live in this house. and this witch named Keziah Mason is now haunting this area. And you, Walter Gilman, are interested in the occult. So you are kind of this, we, the player, we're kind of this great target to be harassed, like to be
Yeah.
influenced. Maybe not harassed. It does feel like harassment, but to be influenced by. And so, you know, I would say the main purpose of any Lovecraft story, right, is that we're trying to call upon these gods and like be in a different dimension. And I do think that the story is part of the Cthulhu mythos. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah, it
Yes.
is.
It's this Lovecraft idea that like knowledge can be dangerous. Be careful.
Yeah. Yeah. So we're also being kind of terrorized, much like in the story, if you read it, by a rat named Brown Jenkins. He has the face of a man and like hands of a man, but the body of a rat. He is horrifying, and it was a pain in the ass to deal with him. So knowing all this, here's my experience. I boot up the game, and it says easy, hard, or easy, normal, or hard.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, all right, I'll do it. Normal says this is the way you're meant to play the game, like on normal. I'm like, done. I'll do normal.
Same. Yeah.
So I started with normal, and I wasn't really sure what I was doing, to be honest. I felt that, you know, there's a way you need to make money. You can do odd jobs around the house. You can get good grades, and then your aunt will send you money. And I'm like, cool, I'm going to get good grades. And so I tried really hard to do the exams and failed them all. And I'm like, fuck this, I'm not doing any of the exams. So then I pivoted my game I started to learn about the occult. I started to learn about math. All while trying to have this social life, right? All trying to help other people. I'm making friends at the university. I read the whole chemistry book so I could learn chemistry. There was one point where I desperately needed food, but then one of my friends showed up, and her name is Allison, and she wanted to hang out, and I like could not say no, and then I nearly starved. I didn't starve, but I'm just letting you know that happened. So I'm doing pretty well. And I'm streaming it. I'm streaming this game as we go. And I think I'm doing pretty good, pretty solid. I stream up until about like the April 13th. And the game takes place from March 1st to May 1st.
And did you know that?
I did not know that.
Me neither.
I think I knew at some point, but then I didn't.
I didn't quite realize I had an inkling.
Yeah.
Well, okay, we'll talk about it when I tell my story. Yeah.
So, I streamed it till about April 13th, meaning technically I would have 17 more days until end game. Great. So, in order to prep for this podcast, I actually played the rest off stream, and I got a terrible ending. Absolutely awful. And I think because my sanity was so low, so at that point, I was trying to read all these books on the occult. And when you do that, that affects your sanity. But I'm also like not really sure if I should do it. So my stats were all over the fucking place. I had like 0 in exams. I had 5 in occult, which is like half. I think 10 is max. I had like 3 in math. And I keep having these insane dreams that are knocking me back. They're knocking my sanity down. So by the time endgame came, you are basically abducted by this witch. And she's also abducted a small child as a sacrifice. And you have to make a choice. You can strike the child, or you can strike yourself, or you can try to strike Keziah. I didn't have the health or the sanity to strike Keziah. So now I'm left with 2 endings. I can either strike myself or strike the child. I couldn't strike the child. I struck myself, which was all for nothing because Keziah's like, oh, I'll just do it. So why am I even here? Why am I even here if Keziah is just going to do it? Worst ending ever. I disappear forever. My friends are like, what the fuck happened to him? I didn't have enough like I didn't have enough like experience with Dr. Armitage, who is a professor that you work with, that you tell your experiences to. Do you have this like trusting relationship? You talk about the occult and kind of what you should do. And yeah, I also, just so you know, I also did try to strike the child. Also a terrible ending. You can strike the child.
Oh no! I didn't know you could kill yourself. I assumed you could kill the child.
No, I did both, but first I struck myself,
Yeah.
and then in a different way, and then in a different I loaded and I struck the child just to see, and they are two different endings.
Okay.
Because what happens to you is different. Because if you strike yourself, you're just dead. If you strike the child, you're
You
kind of
become.
now in this other,
Yeah.
Lovecraft dimension, right? So that was what happened first. And then so I'm like,
Okay.
as I'm playing the game, right? I learned something kind of interesting, or I noticed something interesting about the gameplay. I'm talking to the professor who knows a lot about the occult, and he tells me, you should just try to stay away from it. And you can kind of take that as like a character warning,
You
right? You
know.
can kind of,
Yeah.
yeah, you can keep in mind maybe your fate is already sealed. Maybe this is just not part of the game. But I took this warning to heart. And Dr. Armitage is like, hey, the more you feed the occult, the more you believe in it, the more you surround yourself with it, the more it's going to affect you and the more you will succumb to it. So I'm just thinking in my brain, fine, I'm pivoting. I'm not going to do anything with the occult. So I went back to my stream. I went back to April 13th and I played it straight. I went out with my friends. I ignored all my dreams. I got an occult point taken down from
because
talking to one of my friends. Yeah.
because they asked you if it was rational or if it was supernatural, and you said rational.
I did. I
Yep.
did. So I got an occult point taken down. And I'm like, this is great. This is going to be great. I did everything to keep my health up. I was simply
Mhm.
surviving. I'll tell you this, it is the most boring gameplay you can do. It is nothing compared to what you can do if you get
Yeah.
into the occult. But I was curious. I was curious if the game would let me reject its own ideas. And this is one of the first games where, yes, you can do that. If you want to play it that way, you can do it. So that pivot where I played the rest of the game completely straight, I didn't read any math books. I didn't read, actually, no, I think I maxed out my math stat, but I didn't read any books on the occult. I just played it. And yeah, I won. I got the good ending that way because I was so sane. I was so rational and so sane and strong. I was able to strike down the witch.
There's a lot of interesting stuff here. Let me tell you my story and let's compare. Okay. So my first game, I did not know when that there was an end date. I kind of had an inkling
Yeah.
because time was passing. Um, and there's a point at which Dr. Armitage disappears.
Yeah, at the end of the
You
game, yeah.
stop being able to do anything with him. And so that made me think, oh, I bet this is the end of the game. I bet I was supposed to have already done all the stuff with him
Yes.
by now,
Yep.
but I don't know for how long. And then one night you go to your neighbor and he is drunk as fuck and he is acting absolutely nuts. And I was like, oh,
It's
I
like
bet,
close to end
I
game,
bet this
yeah.
is the very end of the game. And it was.
Mhm.
So that game, I was trying to pass my exams, which I passed a few, because when you pass your exams, you get a bonus, a bunch of money from your aunt. So it makes it
Yeah.
easier to survive if you pass your
Yeah.
exams. And I was trying to study the occult. At some point, you graduate from just reading books in the library to going down to the special collection where they have
Yeah.
these like interesting tomes that the professor warns you about reading.
Yeah.
Sometimes your friends warn you about reading, like for example the Necronomicon.
I was just gonna say the Necronomicon is down there.
hmm um and so I was doing pretty good. I think I had so you can get over 10 in math and in occult.
Yeah.
Those you can go super high with those
Okay, cool.
stats.
Cool.
You For your exams the max stat is 10, but so I was getting solid, like anywhere from an A to a C on my exams. And I'd made good friends with Allison and Elwood, like the two pals in the game. I'd talked to Armitage a bunch, but we hadn't really, we hadn't come to much of an understanding.
Okay,
right? Like I kept
mine was pretty like defined. I definitely did a lot of collaboration and puzzles with Dr. Armitage.
I presented him with a bunch of evidence and he seemed happy about it, but
Yeah.
we didn't we didn't come to any conclusions together.
Okay.
He did warn me to stop looking into the occult. I agreed to for a while and I passed an exam that week, and then I think that really set me behind. um because here's another thing that's random. Some of the books you read have solutions to later puzzles.
Right.
And that is random. You don't know which ones do. There are
Yeah.
5 secret books and in the special collection, and one of them will always have the spell to I'm just going to start giving some stuff away. The
That's
spell
fine.
to teleport
Yeah.
will always be in one book. In another book, the spell to, and it might be the same book, but there will always be a spell to protect your bed
Mhm.
from the witch taking you in the middle of the night.
Right.
Um, and there, in one book, you will always find a clue to this weird. You get taken at the places you get taken in your dreams are you get taken to Keziah's like lair,
Yeah.
where she eventually has you try to sacrifice the baby. You get taken to like an alien planet where you can do some weird little point and click puzzles.
Yeah.
And you get taken to you get taken out of your physical body into like some weird spatial realm with these geometric shapes.
Yeah.
And if you play Simon with those shapes and
Yeah.
follow their, like match the noises they make with your memory, then it takes you onto this higher realm of shapes. And if you have found the solution to that puzzle in one of these tomes, you can just input that solution
Oh
and
wow.
you get extra math skills, basically.
Yeah. See, I didn't read a lot of the special collection because at that I
Mhm.
was going to, but at that point I decided to reject the game
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
essentially.
yeah.
I decided to reject that, but like I really want to go hard next time because there's so many things that can
Yeah,
happen in this game if you
yeah.
do read the special collection. There's different ways of solving puzzles, there's different ways of ending the game, and it's more interesting, and I think that's such an interesting thing
Right.
for a game, just that it's challenging you almost to do those wilder things even though you're sealing your fate that way.
Mhm.
Well, or not. You can still get a good ending and
Yeah.
know about the occult, but it's, it's harder to do it that way.
Right.
So it's a
Well,
risk, but the game is like challenging you to take that risk so you can have a better
yeah.
story. Because if you just play it straight like I did on my stream gameplay, it's maybe not the most interesting thing you can do. You're
No.
missing a lot of events for the sake of what? A
Right.
good ending that you can maybe get,
Yeah. So yeah, it's hard. It's really hard to balance trying to stay alive and trying to stay sane with trying to study these things and get all the knowledge that you need to beat the game as a person who understands the occult. Like that is the hardest thing to do. To beat the game as an expert in the occult,
Yeah.
and beat the witch at her own game by teleport, like building. And I'll get to this in my next playthrough. But so okay, I'll just tell how this playthrough ended.
Oh
So
boy.
I
I love your ending. It's wild.
well, this is not that one. This is not the one
Okay.
you love, okay? So I got to the very end. I was best friends with Elwood and Allison. I'd gotten an A plus. I'd made a chemistry potion. I'm like looking at my achievements right now. I'd started to uncover the cult on the island. There's an island in the game that I there's a cave underneath. I had not gotten into that secret cave, but I knew it was there. I
Yeah.
just didn't know
Yeah.
how to get into it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'd encountered some criminals that were doing something on that island, but I didn't know what.
Yeah.
So at the end, I get taken to sacrifice the child, and I refuse to.
Yeah.
I didn't.
How do you refuse to?
I do not remember. Oh, I remember. Okay, so I stabbed Keziah, and she
Okay.
falls over, and then I try to take the baby, and he's like, if I take her, Keziah, if I take the baby, the Keziah's just gonna follow me, so he won't. And so I'm just looking around, like, how can I beat Keziah?
Oh boy.
I guess I need more magic. I was like, I know I could make a portal on this wall with all these weird symbols on it, but I don't know how. And so eventually she just gets up and she takes you to this other realm with
Whoa.
the what's his name?
The black man?
The black man, Nyarlathotep.
He's like this shadow demon.
Nyarlathotep.
He
Yeah.
kind of looks like sometimes in some animations he reminds me of like the alien from Aliens. I don't know why.
And then she demands that you sign the Book of Azathoth.
Yeah.
And if you say no, she just leaves you there.
Yep. And you're did you get that ending?
So that I got that ending, and I was just standing there like, what the fuck? And I was like, I guess I have to sign the book. So I signed the book, and then I got the end is near the worst ending. Because it was, it was just like, I just caused the cult to succeed, the baby to die.
Yep.
I disappeared forever. I became her apprentice.
Yeah, you're not
so
even dead like I was,
No,
because I
I
struck
became
myself
evil.
the first
Yeah.
time. Yeah.
So I loaded an old save, and then I did some other stuff. Like I got into the cave. I finished reading a whole book in the special collection. I finished my whole theory.
Yeah, I mean, I just want to say in my game that the one that I pivoted, I did finish the theory and I did find the cave.
Yeah.
So I think because I was like too far along, or I wasn't, you know what happened?
What?
Pivoting worked because I wasn't far along enough in my occult studies to get a good ending.
Yeah.
So I think that, or sorry, I was able to get a good ending because I didn't do enough occult stuff.
Okay.
But now that I know, like, some of the occult stuff you can do and some of the stuff you're telling me from, like, your playthrough, because I did find the rod, I did do the cave, I thought it was fascinating.
It's a
but
really
then I
cool
pivoted.
puzzle.
So I think because I just didn't do enough, I wasn't able to, like, I think I had to go, like, more on the occult stuff.
This is what happened here, right? So in this playthrough, like, I died at one point because I realized I was losing it. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to keep on going and not feed myself and see what happens.
Good Lord.
And at some point he just falls over and dies.
Oh no.
But anyway, so, but then I reloaded that save and I kept going again in this normal mode. This is my reloading the save mode. I managed to poison Brown Jenkin enough so the rat keeps coming back into your room. He keeps chewing through the boards you put up on the rat hole.
It's annoying.
He chews through the tin that you put up on the rat hole. But you can always put poison on it, and you can learn to make your own poison if you learn chemistry.
Yeah.
So if you put poison every single time, like, he'll heal. This is what I think. This is how I think it works.
I don't think it does, because I missed a day.
Well, he'll heal, but he won't heal entirely.
Okay.
So if you miss like 3 days, you've undone
see.
a lot of progress. But so pretty much every time he chews through the boards, you have to put another board up and put poison on it. Every time the poison disappears, like he chews a little bit and the poison's gone, put more poison on it. And I killed Brown Jenkin pretty early in that run.
Yeah. I did not.
At some point, he just wanders.
I was late. I did kill him, but I was running low on money. I was going on dates with Allison. I was trying to, I don't know. Yeah. Now I understand a better way to play this. And so hopefully, because the rat takes down your sanity, or he can injure you. The rat can injure you.
Yes. Yeah. At some point, so if you poison him, he'll just wander into the room and vomit on the floor and die.
Yep.
and then you have his corpse, and you can give it to the landlord and be like, hey, this was in my room, and she'll be like, "Oh, I'm sorry." Or you can
I
give it
sold it.
or you can give it to Armitage, and
Yeah.
he sells it to a museum collection, and it's also evidence
Mhm.
to help him believe you. So in this run, I learned to make the protection sign on my bed. I became a master at
Nice.
the occult. I became a master at math. I convinced Armitage to convince the police to stop the ritual. I didn't realize
Nice.
you could talk to the police for a
I
very long
I didn't
time
either. Yeah, you can talk to
because they just
them.
walk past you on the street, and you can stop
Yeah.
them and talk to them.
There is
Um,
kind of a
mhm.
little hint early on, like, if you try to talk to the police, he'll be like, "I don't wanna talk to them unless I absolutely have to." But I
Oh,
didn't
okay.
realize that was a hint. I thought
Uh-huh.
he was just like, "Ugh, I don't wanna talk to him." That's how but now I realize that if you have something to talk about,
Yeah.
like, if you find stuff about the the raid or the cult or the baby missing, because obviously a baby goes missing, you can talk to the police about that. In fact, did you know
Mm.
that you can return, you probably do know this because you did some of the spells, which is so cool. You can
You can
return the baby early. The
Yes,
baby
I
yeah,
did.
I that's wild to me. There's so many things that can happen.
I did not return him to the cop, I returned the baby to the woman's
The
doorstep.
woman, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay, so, yeah, so this is interesting. So, again, I did all this really cool stuff, and then I ended up in the same exact place.
Oh no.
I was at the ritual, and I was like, "I'm not gonna kill the baby, I'm gonna kill Keziah," and I did, I stabbed her, and she fell over, and I
Mhm.
still could not figure out what the fuck to do now. So
Oh, I
Keziah
see.
gets up, takes me to the thing, and I'm left there. And this time I'm like, I'm not signing the book. Fine. And if you wait there for a couple minutes, Azathoth shows up and you go insane and you get the bad ending again.
Yep.
So
So you were missing the key element to that end game because if
there
you
was a
stab
I could have
Keziah, she's still alive.
yes, I could have solved a puzzle. I could have in either of those playthroughs saved the baby and gotten a better ending, not the best ending, but a better
Yeah.
ending,
Yeah.
and I didn't.
I
So
didn't.
So my journey doesn't stop here.
I know,
I
it gets
start
better.
the game over, and I
Oh
start the
god.
game in easy mode, and I kick ass. I get A's on all of my exams. I beat the Astral Challenge. I get Armitage all the evidence. I get Joe drunk, and I get the full story about the house from him. I kill because I learn how to rescue the child early by creating portals through the walls.
Wow.
um, and so I save the child early, and then Keziah has me try to kill a chicken.
Yeah, I forgot. Yeah, if you save the
Mm,
baby early, why even
I
whatever,
know.
it's fine. Why even go through
Why
the
have the baby? And why have you? Yeah, there's a lot that doesn't make sense, but they had to make a game out of it in a way
Gotta
that
make a game. Gotta
yeah,
yeah.
because it makes more sense in the book. But so you it turns out I could have killed Keziah. You just use a different inventory item that's in the room with you that I didn't know you could click on.
Correct. So what did you use? Because to kill Keziah, I used a chain. A
I
heavy
used a
chain.
chain.
Okay,
Mhm.
cool.
Um, and then there wasn't a baby to save, so I just walked back through the dimensional rift,
Mhm.
and then I passed out, and then all my friends found me, and it was the best ending. Everything was good.
Yeah.
So I did that on easy mode. But my story doesn't end there, Roses,
Oh my god.
because I decide I'm going to play this game and not learn one piece of occult
Not
information.
even one stat, not even 1 point in the
No,
occult. Unlike me,
no.
remember guys, I pivoted halfway through.
Uh-huh. So I start the game over on expert mode because
Oh my god.
I think to myself, listen, if all I'm gonna do is keep myself alive, I bet I could take this at the hardest level possible. And I fucking do it. And so I get through the entire game. I ace all my quizzes. I'm like, you get when you play it on expert mode, everything sucks. So
Yeah. I
you get
can't even
hungry. You
imagine.
get hungry more often. You get jumped by thieves more often.
Do you get less money?
You get less money from
Oh.
everything. Um, You get sick faster. It seems to rain more. And again, it's random, so some of this might have just been also bad luck, but it
Yeah.
seems to rain more. Like it sucks on expert mode, but I made it all the way fucking through. And I get to the end, and it's so funny because Keziah will still show up at all the places she shows up in the game. Like at one point, she shows up in the at one point you see her like in town, and you're
Yeah.
supposed to follow her, and
But
she'll
you don't
take
have to, do you?
no. So she was just up it for a month straight. Every time I went to town, Keziah was there, and it would go, and the music would go like dun dun. And I would just go into the store and get food. I'd get there and Walter would just be like, "I'm hungry," and he'd walk into the store and buy food, or he'd just walk past her and buy a newspaper. And it's so funny because she thinks you're following her if you was like her AI. So
Yeah.
if you start walking towards her, she'll walk away and then turn around and look at you.
Yeah.
And if you walk back, she will walk back.
That's so funny.
So she's like, he's following me. And then when she realizes you're not, she'll walk back
Like,
to
oh.
where she was. She seems so stupid and so pathetic in this version.
I'm hungry.
Yeah, I'm hungry. Yeah, it's so great. And then, yeah, like a lot of it just fucking doesn't. A lot of it is just so ridiculous.
Yeah. So wait, if you don't learn a single thing, like if you have you've not done any occult stuff, right?
Yeah.
At the end, are you like, what is this? Are you completely clueless?
So you can't publish your paper. Yeah, you don't. You have no idea what's happening. You know that you're having dreams. You know that they're weird.
Yeah.
But you don't, and you know there's a rat. Like you don't know anything about the witch.
Right.
So then you get kidnapped, and this baby that has been kidnapped is there, and you have a knife in your hand, and you're just like, "What is this?" So I stabbed Keziah, strangled her with the chain, and this is what happens in this. This is what happens in the short story in the actual book.
Yeah.
He stabs Keziah, she falls over, and then Brown Jenkin bites the baby.
What?
Brown Jenkin then kills the baby. Oh, and he also strangles her in the book. But Brown Jenkin kills the baby to complete the ritual.
Wow.
And then later, Brown Jenkin burrows his way into Gilman's. While Gilman is like recovering in his room, Brown Jenkin eats Gilman's heart. Burrows his way into his chest and eats his heart.
Right.
Which does not happen in the game, I don't think.
No, I don't think it does.
But I didn't get this ending because Brown Jenkin jumps up on the table to get the baby, and I'm holding a board, and so I try to hit him with the board, like the normal board I would use to board up the rat hole.
Yeah.
And Walter's like, "This board's too flimsy, it won't work." So I go over to the shelf and I grab a board off the shelf, and I fucking T-ball Brown Jenkin off the table through the portal. And that's when I strangle Keziah to death. So I stab Keziah, I bat this fucking rat through a portal, I strangle Keziah to death, and then I'm like, how do I get out of here? Because I don't know anything about the occult. I can't make a portal or anything like that. So I search Keziah's dead body, find a key to the trap door, go down, and it's dark, so I have to go back up and get a candle. I come back down, find out there's dead bodies in the wall. And then I forget what I used, but I used something to start trying to bash the wall, and then Brown Jenkin comes back in through the rat hole, and he's like, "I'm gonna get you." So I grab a human leg bone and I beat Jenkin to death.
I can't believe that.
Then I smash a hole in the wall and start shouting, and all my friends come in and they save me and the baby. And it fucking rules because there's no occult shit whatsoever. I'm just a guy who is at college having weird dreams. I suddenly get kidnapped by a witch. I beat the fuck out of her and her weird pet rat. And then I just go about living my life. The cult doesn't get stopped. The black man Nyarlathotep is still alive. Everything is, but it's still in. And Armitage barely doesn't even know. I've never
Right.
talked.
Because
I
you
have
never talked to
never
him, really. Yeah.
talked. Not even really. S- uh,
Oh, you just
Roses,
didn't.
Roses. I have never talked to Armitage in this run.
That is
So
the best.
he keeps walking past, and I have there's no reason for me to know anything about him. I never see the special collection. I never
Right.
go to the island because I never even follow Kazaya, so I don't even like know there is an island. I'm
Right.
just a guy going to college who suddenly has to beat the fuck out of a witch and a demon rat.
That is maybe the best ending I've ever heard.
It was so good.
But like, let me ask you this though.
Yeah.
I mean, you played it on hard, so obviously that's a challenge in itself.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
is
yeah.
that as, I mean, cool ending, really funny and really neat. But that's not as fulfilling as finding all of the occult stuff you can find? Because yeah, you didn't talk
No.
to Armitage, you didn't discover the island. Like, there's just so much to discover. Yeah.
I did learn chemistry, but you don't learn most of the potions. So I could
Right.
make I can make rat poison.
Right.
And that was it. I can make glue if I wanted.
That's
No,
good,
I don't
guess.
make rat poison. I probably could have learned to make rat poison, but in this
Yeah.
playthrough I just didn't.
I even looked up to see if I could find your ending with like getting the rat that way, like beating this rat with a wooden plank. I couldn't even find it. I would love to see if you could like record that end. I would love to see that ending.
Booting the rat through the portal with the board was the funniest thing. I like this game because this game is really, again, it's really addictive. It's kind of stressful, and eventually it becomes very repetitive if you're trying to get all the endings, like any game where you're trying to get all the endings, right?
Yeah,
you'd end up doing the same shit over and over again. And in this playthrough, it's the most repetitive because every day you're just waking up, studying, eating, going to bed, waking up, studying, talking to Allison, going to bed, waking up,
like I said, the last half of my pivoted game, even though I had found some really interesting things at that point, that when I pivoted, it was repetitive. I'm just trying to do my best,
I did a lot of chores in that run.
Yeah, I did too.
Because I was running out of money, so I did a lot of chores for the landlady.
And you got to pass the time somehow, otherwise,
right?
I got something.
I couldn't write my thesis. I couldn't write my paper. So that's another way you get money in this game is by turning in evidence to Armitage. One of the thing that you didn't get is the little statue. So if you're on the other planet and you look over the side at the crazy elder thing city below.
Is that how you get that?
Yes, one of the statues on the fence post snaps off, and when you wake up, it's in your room, and you can take it to Armitage. He gets it. And this happens in the written story.
Okay.
This happens in H.P. Lovecraft's story.
See,
you can go get it analyzed for metal. Yeah.
I didn't want to do that because I noticed my sanity, my health went down when I looked over. So I thought that was a bad idea. I loaded my game.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. And then you immediately get attacked by the elder things when you do that. So, like 4 of them come into the room after you. Did you learn how to use the alien machine and heal yourself?
I did not. No.
Oh, okay. So
I'm gonna try to go. Like I said, in my next playthrough, I'm gonna go hard on the occult stuff.
Yeah, like I said, on my easy mode run, I learned everything and I did everything, and I was like a fucking god, right? Like I could just walk through walls basically whenever I wanted to, and go to this alien planet and heal myself if I got hurt. I had like $50, which is unheard of in this game.
Yeah, no, that's insane. That's a lot.
I was eating at the cafe every day.
Nice.
It ruled, but also in the playthrough where I wasn't doing any occult stuff, I slept in Elwood's room as often as possible.
Yes, that's a good idea too.
And if you sleep with the lights on, you also don't get kidnapped by the witch. But if you leave your lights on too often, your light bulb explodes, and it's really fucking annoying.
It's very annoying.
2 to 3 days for her to get you a replacement, and then it's like a lot of pointing and clicking to actually replace the light bulb.
Yeah. That's true. But that's just so I'm so impressed by that. I'm so impressed that that the game allows you to play all these different ways, but
Me too. Yeah.
I'm especially impressed that the game did exactly what it said it would if you listen to Dr. Armitage. You know,
Yeah.
it's not that your fate is really sealed. You can play it this way. I've never played a game where where I've just rejected the story
Well,
altogether, you know?
yeah. But the game allows you this is what gets into what I think the themes of this game are. And there's probably a bunch of other weird stuff we can talk about with this game that's funny and interesting,
Sure.
but I think that really speaks to the themes of this game, which is it is dangerous to have that knowledge. Stepping
Right.
into this world of like understanding the infinite of the cosmos and the blackness that is evil, and like understanding these things is harmful to you as a
Yeah.
person, and you're probably better off not knowing it. But if you want to know the truth, you have to make sacrifices.
Yeah.
And I think that's a big theme in Lovecraft's work, and it is often unclear what he as an author is saying. Is he saying that all of his characters have made a mistake in pursuing these things and it's wrong to, or is he
Mhm.
saying that we all should be trying to do this, but we should understand there's consequences?
Yeah, it's a tough one because, like, just looking at the gameplay mechanic, like I kind of mentioned earlier, it's not as fulfilling to
Mhm.
reject it.
Yeah, yeah.
It's a repetitive, boring life,
You
right?
know there's this amazing thing like spinning and working around you, and you are just refusing to look at it, and
Yeah.
that makes you feel like you're living half a life.
Yeah. And it makes you I mean, the game makes you want to play hard then, so
Mhm.
you can find all these things. I mean, the game kind of lures you into playing it either way, right? Because if you get that bad ending like I did, I felt so deflated. I just wanted a good ending, man. And so it kind of
Yeah.
inspired me to get that good ending, but the good ending inspired me to or actually playing it half and half the way I did, it inspired both ways, right? So now I've gotten half of it and now I want
Right.
more and now I've pivoted to the safe way and you know what I mean? So yeah, it is an interesting thing because you can still beat the game with a good ending even if you know that knowledge, even if you're careful with that knowledge.
Right. So here's what I think is the other and much more human theme of the game, whether it was intended or not. This is
Mhm.
something that really spoke to me. And it's this idea of okay, you're Walter Gilman, you have just left your home and your life. You have a big idea,
Yeah.
right? You have this big idea, you have this paper that you want to write, and uh it is built out of your own idealism, right? You are like, I am going to set the world on fire with this crazy theory. I'm going to learn everything there is to know about this. Um, and then I'm going to live on my own. And then
Yeah.
you get there, and living on your own is hard
Yeah.
and it's scary, and learning and trying to participate in this larger world outside of the little world you grew up in is also hard and scary, right?
Yeah.
In our world, there might not be cosmic monsters floating around in space who want to eat the planet, right? But but there are people who will take advantage of you. Um uh there are things things that aren't unknowable, but things you're going to have to come to grips with. You're never going to know. You are
Yeah.
never unless you start early, you're never going to be a nuclear physicist. You're never going to
Yeah.
understand quantum mechanics besides like the weird bullshit version that
Yeah.
that new age people publish in their books. Um you're never
Yeah.
you're not going to learn how to, I don't know, fix a carburetor, right? Like there are these bits of knowledge that you are going to have to realize, like, I'm never going to know this stuff. And it, that lack of knowledge makes the world more scary, but also just trying to like trying to pursue that knowledge is hard and takes something from you.
Yeah.
And I think like that again, if you remove all of the ghosts and monsters, that is an experience that all of us have, right? All of
Yeah.
us have when we diverge from our parents and our childhood. Um, and I found that really, again, I found that really affecting.
Yeah, I agree. Even though like when you're in the game and not thinking about that consciously, you're
Mhm.
probably just more annoyed by it. Like, oh my god, my
Right.
character is hungry again, and
Yeah.
I just fed him 2 days ago. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like
Yeah.
it in game you might not be thinking that, but yeah, I could absolutely see parallels to
Right.
that. You know?
Yeah. I mean, like this cosmic knowledge, right? Like, how is that any different? Right? And the struggle to survive against an evil witch and her brown rat. Like, how is that
Yeah,
any different than actually trying to struggle against paying rent and getting your car registered so it doesn't get impounded while you're driving, and then you get your license suspended, right? Like
yeah,
trying to find a job, right? Like these things are hard and scary, and at first they're like occult and esoteric.
yeah.
Um, and like I think this game, again, with whether it's trying to or not, really captures the anxiety of setting off into like the unknown world and trying to tackle
Yeah. I think there's definitely you can kind of draw a metaphor for depression there, considering we
it.
do have a sanity meter.
Yeah. Right.
You know, the more you're exposed to the world, the more you learn about the realities of the world,
Yeah.
the more affected you are, you know? And yeah, and just the way, interestingly, even the ways you stay sane kind of play into a metaphor for
Yeah.
depression, because the ways you stay sane
Mhm.
are what? It's self care, eating a good meal, hanging out with your friends, staying grounded. That's how you stay sane.
If you talk to the people in your life, like in your life, about these subjects,
Yeah.
the deeper of conversations you have with them, the more your sanity goes up.
Yep.
So like just letting out what has been happening to you is like the best thing you can do for your sanity. And some of the things that drive down your sanity meter are like getting mugged,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Getting a bad grade,
Getting hurt. Yeah.
getting hurt, missing a night of sleep. These are the
Yes.
things that drive down your sanity meter. Of course, also, you know, touching the cosmic void and
Yeah,
unknowable
don't
knowledge
touch
of
the
elder
cosmic
gods.
void. You don't want none of that.
Like that shit also drives down your sanity meter. But there's a lot of human things in this game that drive down your sanity meter that I think, yeah, like really do drive that point home.
Absolutely. That's a great theme, honestly. And
Yeah.
yeah, maybe unintentional, but I mean, I don't know, maybe I definitely the way the sanity thing is intentional. Like talking to
Yeah.
your friends,
Yeah.
talking. I think that is very intentional.
Well, I
Um
think, yeah, I think a lot of art makes points. Like they make, by doing intentional things like that, they're making a broader point that maybe the artist didn't sit down and think, okay, I'm going to make this as a metaphor for growing up.
right.
But they are conscious of it in the sense that they're like, what makes a person who is paralyzed by anxiety feel better talking to their friends, and
Yeah.
in that way
Eating a good meal. Yeah.
they are talking about growing up, and they're
Yeah.
doing it consciously, even if they don't, even if that's in their mind not the central theme of the work. But in my
For
mind,
sure.
that was the central theme of the work. Okay, so the developer, let me get their name real quick.
Adam Brain Games.
Adam Brain Games
Mhm.
has announced they're doing the Dunwich Horror as their next game,
Right.
which is another Lovecraft story. Um,
And that actually features Dr. Armitage, right?
yes, that is the story that Dr. Armitage comes from. Because, there's all sorts of stuff that is in this like HP Lovecraft universe, like Miskatonic University
Yeah.
and
Just the
the City of
Arkham.
Arkham,
Yeah.
the Necronomicon. He made all that stuff up. I remember one time online seeing some some people argue about whether the Necronomicon was real,
Oh.
and some dude was posting he's like, this dude was claiming to be this like master of the dark arts and this mystic, you know, scholar, and he was like, "No, the Necronomicon's real, you idiot. I have it," and then kept posting pictures of himself with it.
Okay.
Like he was like winning an argument. It's like, dude, that was that was written in like 1975 by people who were trying to just like profit off of people like you. Like that's a novelty, my man.
Oh
Like,
my god.
um, but yes, so yeah, so he like all these things are in a shared universe in the Dunwich horror. In fact, in the game, Armitage leaves to deal with the Dunwich horror.
Yes, he leaves towards the end of the game. He
Mhm.
leaves to go to Dunwich.
So I have some concerns. First of all, I think it's going to be so hard to do a game like this again, right?
Yeah.
I'm excited
Yeah.
at whatever they're going to make because this game was so impressive and so good. I want to play another game like it.
Yeah.
And the developers talked about how the next game will have multiple characters with different skills and
Oh
abilities that you
no.
play.
I get really upset when I have to deal with multiple characters. Go on though.
Yeah. No, that's going to be interesting. Um, there's a thing about the Dunwich horror, and I reached out to the developer and asked him about this
Hmm.
on Steam. The Dunwich horror is one of the stories in which H.P. Lovecraft's eugenicist beliefs
Ugh.
start to come out, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, it is about a community where the breeding has gotten so poor
Hmm.
that the people have, you know, fallen into isolation and become sort of like semi-human, like less than
Sure.
human because of their genetics, right?
Right.
It is part of this idea that that goes through a lot of H.P. Lovecraft books about this idea that there's this perfect human that we can make out of the right genes.
Yeah.
This was all in the 1930s. I mean, some people at that point, to be fair, knew eugenics was racist and argued against it even back then.
Yeah.
But there were a lot of people at that time who thought maybe eugenics was a scientific way to solve for things like cancer or disabilities or whatever, but it was all paired with this idea of like, if there's a perfect person, then that means there's a perfect hair color, there's a perfect skin color, there's a
Right.
perfect skull shape, like all this stuff that's absolute bullshit and completely racist. I reached out on Steam to say like, hey, you know, Dunwich horror is actually kind of fairly entrenched in eugenics and
Yeah.
some racist ideas. So I wonder, like, how are you guys going to deal with that? That must be a challenge. And the developers seem to feel like Dunwich horror is not very problematic.
Okay.
Um, and felt like it's more based around the themes of isolation and degeneration,
Okay.
which, and you know, and said they don't share Lovecraft's personal beliefs, won't feature them in their adaptations, but there are
Right.
much more interesting things to focus on, is what they said. And
Okay.
I think that has me just a little bit worried.
Okay. That's fair.
Now, this adaptation was really good, and I'm excited about what their next thing is going to be, but it does leave me a little bit worried that if they could not see the eugenics in the text, how do they avoid that when making the adaptation? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. I think there's things they can do to rewrite some stuff because obviously even Dreams in the Witch House is not a perfect adaptation. It's a very good adaptation,
Right,
but
the evil guy is called the Black Man.
yeah. And the end. I think obviously the end of the story is completely different. So I think there are things that they can change around, and games do that a lot. They'll take problematic things and change them
Yeah.
for the better. So I'm hoping they find a way around it. I understand your concern though, because that is an integral part of this plot. It seems like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I can see how some people might not read eugenics into that. There's another. I can't remember which story it is.
I think I'll say this.
Yeah.
Had Lovecraft not been so egregious, had he
Uh-huh.
not been so blatant about his views, yeah,
Yeah.
it's fair to maybe not read eugenics into that. But I think because we know what his belief system was at that
Mhm.
time, that's important to consider, that there might be
Right.
a pattern or a parallel there,
And I think, yeah, I think as readers, it is definitely. I don't begrudge anybody who doesn't see eugenics in Dunwich Horror or in like another one of his eugenics sort of uh, heavy stories, The Lurking Fear,
Yeah.
where a family's genes degrade so much that they resort to inbreeding and cannibalism, and they create a race of monsters that live beneath their old family house,
Yeah.
which again is about having quote unquote good breeding.
Yeah.
But I can see reading Lovecraft and not feeling those things as a reader, and I wouldn't begrudge anybody for that. My problem is if you're adapting it,
Mhm.
it seems like that's something you do have to reckon with. And you
Yeah.
can avoid it. I don't think it needs to be in there, but you need to me, it feels like you would need to know it was there in order to avoid repeating it.
Yeah, that's fair. That's absolutely fair.
Even sort of the developers' use of the word degeneration, yeah,
Yeah.
that makes me wonder if they haven't quite made the dot, like connected the dots between what degeneration meant to HP Lovecraft and what degeneration means when you're talking about a race of animal.
Right.
That race being human beings in this
Right.
case. So that all said, so if the Dunwich Horror comes out and it still has this problematic stuff in it, but it is as good a game as this one, I think I will still say this game fucking ruled.
Yeah.
But we'll have to talk about this one element that
Yeah, of course.
is the
Yeah.
problem. So anyway, so that's just my little thought about that. What do you think about Dunwich Horror? Like, does it excite you?
I don't know. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't know. But you know what though? That's basically how I react to a lot of Lovecraft video games.
Yeah.
That I have ended up liking. So
Yeah.
when I first played Drudge, I was like, eh. But then I ended up loving that game. So I don't know what it is. I don't know. I'm not personally. Personally, I am not a Lovecraft fan.
Okay.
I wouldn't call myself that, but I am a fan of spooky things and horror
Yeah.
things. So I'm more of a like in terms of authors, right? I'm more of a book person than an author person. If the book is very
Okay.
good, I
Yeah.
will like it. The same thing with maybe even music. I'm very much a song person. If the song is good, then I like it. So like I have this like base level opinion where I'm like, I don't know. I'm
Okay.
not the biggest fan of HP Lovecraft, but I'm always willing to give a story a chance. I'm always willing to give art a chance, no matter what it is. So my excitement doesn't come until I actually play the game.
So you would maybe have been more excited if they had announced the next game had nothing to do with Lovecraft. You'd be like, "Oh,
Maybe-
sweet, another game by them, and I don't have
Yeah,
to worry that it's about Lovecraft."
yeah, maybe so.
So, I think that's our coverage of this game.
That was fun.
That was fun. And it was a long one, and there was just so much to say about this fucking game.
I know. It's almost. I almost want to play it again, but no, I've got to give myself a break.
I know.
I've played it so much; it's insane.
I know. I'm putting it away. I am in fact
Okay.
uninstalling it as we record this because I cannot keep fucking playing this game, and I might
Yeah.
be tempted to do another playthrough.
I know
because
it's one of those.
there's one achievement I didn't get.
Only
There's
one?
Yeah, and that
Damn.
achievement is apparently if you warn the woman whose baby gets stolen.
Uh-huh.
There's a creepy man in her neighborhood.
Yeah,
that is
the
trying
bootlegger
to,
guy.
Yes, and if you warn her that he's a bootlegger and he had some knowledge of the kidnapping,
Uh-huh.
and then show her the whiskey that you buy from him, she will stay away from him. She'll be like, "Oh, that guy sucks," and avoid him. And then the little ending thing with her and the baby, I'm guessing he's not like creeping, peeking through the
Right.
doorway like he was in
That's
Oh My God.
awesome. I love that. I'm gonna have to try it. Oh, damn it. No.
Yeah.
Damn it. No.
Okay. Do you want to throw up Tranquilito?
Tranquil music. Yes, I'll put on some ASMR for you.
Tranquil smacks my Beano. Roses.
Hi.
Hey,
It's
we're back.
me.
And me. Listeners, by the time you're hearing this, God, I will be on my way to the adventure game fanfare.
Nice.
I
I
will
won't
be,
be.
like-
Sorry.
I will be like on the plane probably, or in Tacoma, Washington. So if you, if you happen to have tickets, or if you live near Tacoma and you already are coming or you want to come, I will be hosting a panel along with Anna from the Classic Gamers Guild podcast
She's
about
great.
Phantasm. Yeah, she's really good. It should be a ton of fun. We have a lot of ideas for it. And it's about Phantasmagoria 2 with Lorelei Shannon and Paul Morgan Stetler. It's at 3 p.m. on Friday. And then late Friday night, and during the after party, me and some other cool people will be doing a panel where basically we're doing a riff tracks on Plumbers Don't Wear Ties.
That is so funny. I'm a little jealous because riffing is kind of my thing. And I'll be there. And that's okay. I believe in you.
I am excited. It's gonna
Gotta be funny for the both of us. Remember who you're representing here.
It's gonna be weird. It's gonna be funny. Please, if you come say hi. If you come and you're a listener, come say hi. And
please.
We'll talk adventure games for a minute.
But also,
yes,
I will be in England later this month, into August. And this is, I guess, for all my UK people. So let me think. On August 1st, it's that Thursday. It's either going to be like, I think it's August 1st. Why don't I ever have a calendar? I just never do. Right? August. I think August 1st, whatever that Thursday is. I will be at Barcadia in Norwich for their open jam night. I'm not performing. Don't get your hopes up. I'm simply going to be there. So if you are in the UK, if that is close to you, that might be your only time to ever get to meet me. So if you want to come meet me there, that's where I'll be that night. There's also an open jam night. So you can jam out and win a prize, potentially, if you're good.
Very cool.
Again, I will not be performing. Don't even ask.
We are going to try to keep up our release schedule through this.
I hope so, yeah.
I will be in Tacoma. Roses will be in England, and I will be in the Outer Banks for vacation. So we are going to have a busy couple weeks between us, but we're going to try and keep up our release schedule. But if we miss an episode, please forgive us in advance.
Or cry about it.
Yeah, fucking cry about it, baby.
Let's just go cry about it.
Let's go cry about it in your little sandbox.
I'm so mean. Why do people listen to me? I don't even... I can be so like feisty and salty with people, and they'll be like, "Oh, I just love Roses. She's America's sweetheart." I'm like, "Oh God, what is wrong with you?"
You're just actively trying to get them to hate you, and they're like, "Oh, what a sweet." It's like that episode of Adventure Time with the Cutie King and his little army, and he wants to be tough, and he's trying to beat up Finn and Jake, and then it's just their failures are so cute, And they're like, stop calling us cute.
That's just me. Yeah,
That's you.
that's me.
You keep attacking everybody, and they're just like, aw.
I'm that like spooky black duckling that there's a meme that's like when you're spooky but also adorable. That's me.
Guys, feel free to email us at mattandroses@gmail.com. I don't know what game we're going to talk about next. We actually have to do some planning, so
Oh yeah, we do. Oh poo.
So we can't tell you guys what to prepare for, but come back next week. It'll be
come back next week, see what we got. There might be something, there might be nothing.
And lastly, we're part of the Adventure Game Hotspot Network. Check them out at adventuregamehotspot.com. Okay, we are, I think, at the end of the episode.
Woohoo!
And I hear a weird rat scratching in my walls, so I probably gotta go.
Do you have a plank of wood and some poison? Do you have a bone? Do you have a human bone?
I'm gonna go ask one of my neighbors if he has.
Funny story before we leave. I asked my neighbor in that game like every night if he had a plank of wood, and he never did.
Not once?
Maybe once, but I'm talking out of like 20 times I asked. It became a joke in my stream. It's like, well, he's not going to have one. I don't know why we're asking.
Yeah, well, hey, if you can get a free plank of wood, you gotta try everything you can to get a free plank of wood.
Always try to get a free plank of wood. That's what I say.
Do you ever say anything else?
You know what? I do sometimes say something. Would you like me to share it with you?
Is it dirty?
Oh, I have to pivot, I guess. No. Sometimes I just think to myself and out loud that podcast is art.
I sometimes think about how artists suffer.
Solid.